Now available in paperback and e-readers, Isis, Amari's Revenge. The goddess next door is confronted by a Nubian queen out for revenge at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in this inaugural Isis series adventure. Get your copy of Isis, Amari's Revenge in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. One of my viewers wanted to propose the question, do we need to bring back insane asylums for the mentally ill in America? Now, the viewer and myself proposed this question because we've had a series of incidents all across the country that have led to the escalating crime across the nation, and this escalation of crime is basically, part of it is being blamed on individuals having mental health issues, and many of these episodes that are seen in viral videos are allegedly incidents of individuals having mental health problems. Now, with so many people having mental health problems and having episodes where they're participating in possible violent crimes, I believe that it is time to bring back mental health facilities to house the mentally ill and give them the care that they're not receiving under the systems of the Department of Homeless Services or correctional facilities, which usually have to go and be the safety net that takes care of these individuals, because usually it's the homeless services and the prisons that have to deal with the situations with people who have mental health issues, and that's way out of their job description, because homeless services is about trying to get people back on their feet and get them housed in permanent housing. That's what the Department of Homeless Services is supposed to be about. And when it comes to the prisons and the correctional facilities, their job is to deal with felons who have been convicted of crimes. However, when it comes to individuals who are mentally incompetent, we need a facility to house those individuals to ensure that they are going to be supervised and that their care is going to be one where qualified individuals will ensure that they are taking their medication and making sure that these individuals are taken care of so that they won't be a danger to themselves or a danger to others. Now, many people, they really they just start to scoff at the idea of mental health facilities. Some scoff at them because they are ashamed of the whole idea of housing the mentally ill in their own facility, because they fear the stigma of a family member having a stigma of being mentally ill. Other individuals fear the stigma of being called mentally ill by being in one of these facilities, and the history of mental health facilities, like insane asylums, it has a harsh negative stigma due to the policies that were put in place as related to these facilities ever since the late days of the 19th century. Now, when it came to mental health facilities like insane asylums, they have a lot of negative backlash, because when it comes to these facilities, the policies that were put in place during the early 20th century and late 19th century as related to declaring someone insane, these policies really just abused a lot of people, and a lot of people wound up getting exploited due to the policies as related to declaring someone insane, or as they called it in the 19th and early 20th centuries, lunacy. Now, back in the late 19th century and early 20th century, a lot of wealthy heiresses were declared insane once they got married, because the husband basically wanted to take their wealth, and the way they would look to take their wealth was going out and declaring the wife insane and then taking control of her finances. And that was one of the ways people felt that these mental health laws abused people. In other cases, people wound up being taken off the street if they went out here and participated in antisocial behaviors. If a person participated in what is an antisocial behavior, such as wearing pajamas out on the street or walking around in a slip, what would happen is police would come and take that person straight off the street in the 19th and early 20th century and even up until the 1950s because they considered that behavior lunacy. And what they would do is take that person into an insane asylum. And for many of those people, they had a hard time getting out of these insane asylums because what they would do is create policy where they would look to go out and try to question that person's competency, because once a person was declared incompetent, they were basically committed into that facility, and they would be committed into that facility even if they were perfectly sane, and they would wind up there for the rest of their lives. And as many of them wound up in these facilities for the rest of their lives, many of these people were medicated out of their minds, and as they were medicated out of their minds, this led to many women winding up being exploited by predatory people at the hospital who would participate in rapes and sexual assaults, and others would go out here and look to assault men and abuse men inside of these facilities. And the care in these facilities was not very good because as time went on, people soon found out from reports like Geraldo Rivera's exposure of the Willowbrook facility, people were not being fed, people were not being cared for, and this is what led to this and the Vietnam veterans not getting care led to Ronald Reagan looking to go and end taking care of people in mental health facilities. And the sad result is that the situation with the mentally ill got progressively worse because instead of the mentally ill receiving care, what happened to many of the mentally ill is that they wound up wandering the streets. And as they wandered the streets, what happened to many of those who were declared mentally ill is that they fell through the cracks. And sadly, what happened was, in order to pick up the slack, the government departments like the law enforcement had to wind up taking up the slack, where these individuals wound up committing heinous crimes, and then the prison system would take care of them. And as the prison system took care of them, this was the way many of those who were declared mentally ill were able to receive their medication from the prison infirmary. But sadly, as these people were in these facilities, they were not being socialized to return to the world and became just more antisocial by being around more of these criminals. That's what we have right now as related to mental health. The prisons are doing a lot more of the work, and Department of Homeless Services is trying to do the work. But what America needs right now is a dedicated mental health facility to help care for people who are mentally ill and be able to give them the care that they need in a facility where their mental health needs can be taken care of. And while we don't need the insane asylums, we do need facilities that will be able to be a place where people who are mentally ill can get the care like Jordan Neely desperately needed. I mean, Jordan Neely, before he wound up losing his life at the hands of that white man, Daniel Penny, was in desperate need of mental health care, and many people are in desperate need of mental health care, and they need a facility to where they can get that care. And if they can't take care of themselves, then they need to be looked out for by the state. And again, this is where we have an issue because a lot of people, they really fear the whole idea of being declared mentally incompetent. But the whole thing is, if a person isn't taking care of themselves, then it's the job of the state to look out for these individuals so that their health and safety can be cared for and to keep them from being a danger to others and a danger to themselves. That's what we desperately need right now for many of those who are mentally ill. And maybe this could possibly stop a lot of individuals from participating in antisocial behaviors like smoking weed, because what's leading to what I believe a lot of the mental illness in this country that we're having right now is a lot of people smoking marijuana. And as they smoke the marijuana, it changes and alters their brain chemistry. And as it alters their brain chemistry, this is what leads to these individuals' mental health declining. And this could give people to take pause, because if they find out, oh, if I smoke this weed and I wind up in a place where people are thinking that I'm mentally incompetent, it may make them think twice about smoking this weed, because the consequence could be you could wind up in one of these facilities where you're declared incompetent and taken care of by the state. That could really discourage a lot of people from smoking this weed, which is one of the things that I believe is fueling a lot of this mental health issues. The other thing that I believe is fueling the mental health issues is the fact that many people are not getting the help that they need when they have a long-term unemployment situation. I believe a lot of people could really be prevented from even coming into the mental health system if we went out here and help those people get jobs and get back on their feet. Because one of the things that leads to a lot of people, especially men, becoming mentally ill is that they don't have a stable economic base, and the anxiety that they have over the years gets progressively worse. And as it gets progressively worse, their whole perception of reality starts to twist. And as they wind up homeless, that perception of reality winds up twisting to the point where they're no longer able to function. And we could keep those people functional if we went out and helped those people before they wound up falling through the cracks. I mean, something as simple as getting a man a job, or even though I'm not a fan of universal basic income, something as simple as UBI could possibly stave off a lot of the mental illness that escalated right after the pandemic. I mean, one of the things that came out of the pandemic that I believe I saw it was going to happen in 2020 when Dr. Fauci proposed these lockdowns was we were going to see an escalation of mental illness. And that's what we're seeing right now. And I don't know, but the whole thing is we do need a facility to care for those who cannot care for themselves. We need a place where people can look out for these people and make sure that they're safe. But we also need standards and safeguards, because declaring somebody mentally incompetent means that if that person is going to lose their rights. So we have to be very careful about things, because these policies were abused in the past. They were abused to take wealth away from women. They were used to, again, even take black people and take away our rights. And they were also used to exploit people. So if you do bring back these kind of facilities, we really do need to do this with care. And we have to understand that, again, people have rights. And again, declaring somebody mentally incompetent, this needs to be done with extreme discretion. But when it comes to the mentally ill, something definitely has to be done. Something has to be done, because medicating people in prisons is not helping the situation. All it is making more violent individuals. And medicating people in Department of Homeless Services doesn't really help them get back on their feet. And we need a place that deals with those who have really serious mental health issues and provide them a facility where they can find shelter and find the care that they need. That's what we need, because what we're having is, again, a lot of people having issues, and we also need to help people find jobs, again, because as I see it, with a lot of men who are in crisis, I talk about this in my book, The Man Crisis, a lot of homeless men, if we could just get them one job that would cover their bills, we could possibly prevent that person from falling into a state of decline where their mental health starts to deteriorate. We could possibly help that person be able to get back out into society and remain functional. But the whole thing is that many people, they don't see mentally ill people as people, but I see them as people in need of desperate help. And the earlier we could get people help, maybe the earlier we could keep them out of the criminal justice system, needing the services of Department of Homeless Services, and help them go from being a person who was in a struggle to getting back on their feet and being a taxpayer and being somebody who could contribute to society instead of somebody who winds up a person who is a man or woman in crisis. Now, this was a video requested by one of my viewers, and if you want to request a video, you can send a donation for a minimum of $15 to the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up my book and learn more about ways to deal the things that the men in crisis struggle with, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis, on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find The Man Crisis at other online booksellers like Draft the Digital, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Target. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS, Amari's Revenge. The goddess next door is confronted by a Nubian queen out for revenge at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in this inaugural ISIS series adventure. Get your copy of ISIS Amari's Revenge in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers, ISIS, Bride of Dracula. Goddess Next Door and John Haynes team up to take on the dark vampire lord in this action-packed ISIS series adventure. Get ISIS, Bride of Dracula in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.